Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I am your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my trusty bridge crew. Unfortunately, right off the bat, Rear Admiral Eric has a case of Andorian shingles, so he is out tonight. But I am joined by the board queen of puns, Ensign Brittany, our resident Patrick Stewart body double, Lieutenant Hawk, and the mother of Wales, holder of all replicator rations, the mayor and sheriff of Fairhaven, and the owner of not one, not two, but three Intrepid class vessels, all helmed by clones of Harry Kim. Ensign Erin, glory to you and your houses.
I like that one. That was good.
I don't know. I just think that you would have like a cargo bay somewhere with like all the Voyager ships.
The little mini Voyagers.
Little Harry
class.
Yeah, little Harry as an ensign still just driving you around where you want to go.
I feel like a ship full of Harrys is like, that's invaluable, man.
He's a good officer, right?
Yeah, he cares, man, and he's gonna, he's got that
on that idea.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with you.
Yep, all ensigns, Rob, all ensigns. It is the end of the month, which means it's also our Patrons Collective Choice episode, and congratulations to our patron Noe. He's also part of our awesome mod squad on our Discord server. He won our poll this month for our Patrons Choice, and this week we'll be talking the Ship of Theseus. Now, what is the Ship of Theseus? It's a very good question. Aaron answered it before we started, or asked it. You asked before we started recording. And we keep seeing it around the internet and tweets. So Brittany, what is the theory of the Ship of Theseus?
For those of you that didn't immediately Google it after watching WandaVision, the Ship of Theseus is a philosophical sort of idea or debate in a way. It's like a question that doesn't have an exact answer, but it's supposed to provoke thought, as all philosophical things do. And it mostly focuses on the idea of like the identity of something. So the example I gave Aaron earlier when we were talking about this is that we're all humans and theoretically we're all made up of the same.
Speak for yourself. I'm a fucking Cylon.
I know. That's why I paused. I was like, someone in here is a boomer. Anyway, we're all theoretically made up of the same sort of like general makeup, like this much percent of carbon, water, whatever, all the molecules pretty much the same way, but we all differ, right? So if I, for example, were reconstructed bit by bit, every single molecule was an exact replica of what I am right now and was like remade right next to me, both versions of me would look like Brittany, right? So they're both Brittany. They're made up of the exact same thing. But the commonality is kind of like, it diverges in the fact that it's like, what makes my identity though? Would that clone of me have my personality? Would it have that essence that makes me me? So the Ship of Theseus is the idea that you have you have the original ship that Theseus used for this voyage that, you know, everybody's read about in literature. If over time it's in a museum, and you know how they have to restore statues and things like that over time. If plank by plank or piece by piece, you replace the wood with the exact same type of wood, the exact same type of metal, whatever you had to in every spot, over a millennia, let's say, you replace every single thing. It looks exactly the same, but is it actually the Ship of Theseus? Or is it a replica of Ship of Theseus? So that's like the philosophical debate that you have.
I thought that was so interesting. And also, I should have saved that question for the pod, but I was just...
It's fine.
I think there's, just a real quick, sometimes in, our like nerd sphere, there's a feeling of like, oh, you should know everything. Or, I think it's gotten a lot better, but like gatekeeping, like you don't want to... People will be like, why don't you know that? But I like that we have like a safe space where I can be like, so what's the Ship of Theseus? Because I watched WandaVision, but I was like so enthralled that blew right by me, and I just haven't been on social media as much, so I didn't know that had really blown up. And I just like that we can talk about these things. And when you told me that earlier, Brittany, I was just like, wow, that's really deep.
And it is deep.
And it's stuff that you only come across if you happen to be like, say like a literature major where you learn about, the stories, you learn about some sort of like ancient history where you would know about this concept, or philosophy. So I just read a lot of philosophy books growing up. Like I just love like Bruce Lee and philosophy in general. Yeah. So I was always reading everything.
And
it's like, cool,
none of that.
Theseus.
And if you want to see the Ship of Theseus, it's behind Hawk there. He's got it in his background today. Hawk is finally able to use backgrounds because he has a brand new MacBook Pro. It's very exciting.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was well earned.
I mean, you've always had a MacBook Pro, but it's nice to have you in the same MacBook Pro club. It's nice.
It's nice to be in. Yeah, it's nice to be in the same decade as like a lot of other computers now.
I really
does one of those run?
Yeah, Like $2,000. They're expensive.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
I'm gonna have to work on that.
I didn't think I'd like the touch bar as much as I did, but I see myself using it.
I know. Like I'm trying to incorporate it more into my everyday activities using it.
I use it for
Karen
emotionals.
likes to touch the bar when she's making them drinks.
That's right.
She does.
I do. And this drink that's gonna be featured in our next Patreon exclusive. It doesn't even have a name yet. This is the non-alcoholic version, but then I poured booze in it. So what can I do?
Real quick before we move on with our Ship of Theseus episode, which will be rightly so talking about all the recasting that's happened in Star Trek and possibly any recasting that we might see in the future. Lexi brought up a fun fact about Peter Capaldi's first stint as Doctor Who in his first episode, when he's talking about change the head of a broom and then the brush, whether or not it's the same broom, you can still sweep the floor with it. So, but he even had a moment, if you want to talk about it, we don't do this on the show often, but we're going to talk about not just Star Trek on this episode, because there's been so many great recastings, right? The Doctor gets someone new every
I was going to say the Doctor's the best example of the Ship of Theseus, because it's like he's still the Doctor, but is he the same Doctor? And
Peter Capaldi has a great moment in his first episode when he's looking at a puddle. I think it's a puddle. It's been a while since I've watched the episode, and he sees the eyebrows, and he realizes that he's wearing someone else's face. He's like, whose face is this? And he's looking at his eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows, and I love that scene. But it's because he guest starred in an episode of David Tennant's Doctor Who, and they made it basically canon that, like, while he was regenerating, like this face got chosen that he had seen in the past for whatever reason or another. And it's really,
wasn't he like a Roman dude?
He was at
I remember that.
Pompeii.
Yeah, Pompeii. Okay.
Yep. So that's a great episode of Doctor Who. So I didn't
realize that was him until you just said that. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of the companions were in like previous episodes.
They were.
Oh, totally.
True. Yep. Don Cheadle replacing Terrence Howard is a really good example as Rhodey. Good move, by the way.
I don't recall that happening.
I don't recall that happening. But we're going to get into all that. So before we do, we have a little bit of news, and we're going to give a big shout out to the Voyager documentary, because they are doing huge things right now. They are close to breaking the 1 million mark. And that's a big deal, because if they go just under 1,200,000, they will become the biggest documentary crowdfunding campaign in history. So we're trying to get them to that point right now. At the time that I wrote this outline, they're sitting at something like $934,000. So,
and the perks are so amazing. Like the Janeway mug that sold out like immediately, and then they were like, "Oh, we gotta sell more of these bitches." Which good looking out, Julian. He was like, "You gotta get this," and I was like, "All right." And they've got all these, like, you can go on excursions to all these places that are like 20 minutes away from where I live, and I'm like, I could go there. I'm gonna go find Harry Kim. Garrett, I'm coming for you. Actually, I actually saw Tim Russ once. I won't say where, but I was hiking, and it's in LA, so my thing is, like, if I'm not at a convention, I'm not gonna go bother somebody. But I was like, I'm hiking with Tim Russ.
The trust you showed.
Jay's letting us know that right now they've already moved up a bunch. They're at 940. So they're
gonna hit it.
I think they are gonna hit it.
I don't think you guys have to worry at all.
No, the goal, just so people know, is just over 1,126,036. So
wow,
let's do it, people.
It's so validating too, because so many people for so long were like, I don't like Voyager, I thought that was the worst one, blah blah blah. It's super validating, because it's obviously it's my favorite, and I think it was, in general, it was a good show, man. So
yeah.
I'm so happy.
They put up the premiere tickets for LA and New York, and I couldn't not do it. So Kay and I are going we're going to the New York premiere. Yeah.
Very good. We're gonna,
what a time to be alive,
go have dinner and stuff. Oh man. Man, should I, how much were they?
200, worth every penny.
Okay, I might have to put it on the credit card, man.
All of us are gonna go home and bump up now. Well, we're at home, but
I mean, if I've got someone to go with, and oh man, okay, fine. I think I'm gonna have to do it, guys.
Yeah.
Bump up whatever that number is, $200 more.
I don't see that you have a choice.
No. So Noe said we have to have a mug life photo shoot in the Voyager.
Oh my God.
With the Voyager mugs.
Yes. Oh my god. If I can get anywhere near oh my god, Robert Duncan McNeil or Garrett, I'm just gonna be like, Mug Life, and they're gonna be like, get away from me.
This
like,
fucking
Jesus
crazy
Christ.
lady.
That would be the best. I'd be like, remember how I was supposed to win, but someone swooped in at the end because they already had a crap load of followers, but I did all the best stuff and had Ian and all those things? That was me.
NY Relight says, sadly, I don't anticipate a similar Enterprise documentary. I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
We've
Eric's
seen what we
so
needed to
sad that we
see.
said that, but
He's
yeah.
not here to defend himself.
Nope. Sorry.
They try to crowdfund, but they make it like one perk, and they'd be like, "It's been a long road. We never really got there."
Oh boy. Anyway, before we move on and get into the meat of our episode, Brittany, how can people go ahead and support our show and join our Patreon collective and get to do fun things like vote on our Patron's Choice episode?
Well, if you're watching this right now or listening to it later, and you don't already support us, you should. Other than following us on social media, you should go to strangenewpod.com and click on Join Our Collective. There it'll have a little link to our Patreon page. Then you just select that. It's really easy. I'm doing it right now as I talk. And then you have 4 different tiers to choose from now. That's right, not just 3. So you have $1 a month, which is our lower decks tier, $2 a month, which is our Ready Room, $5 a month for Cerritos Lounge, and $10 a month, which is 10 forward. Because what else were we going to call it? I mean, it's 10.
Yeah, you can't.
Gotta be
right?
around booze.
Yeah. All of these have really awesome perks. You obviously get Discord benefits. You help choose our monthly Patreon choice episodes. There's a patron-only channel on our Discord, vice versa. So as you move up, you get things like Strange New Pod stickers. You get access to exclusive bonus content like Erin does, which is our Drunk Space 9 podcast, and then a bunch of her little drink videos. You get personal shout-outs on the show. It goes up with each tier, so you can check it out on here. But if you do our $2 tiers and above, you also now get percentages off the merch in our Teespring store. So
Discounts!
The $2 tier, you get 5% off. $5 tier, you get 10% off. And if you're 10 forward, hoity-toity, fancy captain, you get 15% off merch in our Teespring store.
Those discounts, I think, got Noe because he just said I have to upgrade the next time I log in.
And you guys, the merch so far is so cute. I think Eric's been doing most of the designing.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
No, he's
I should have brought the
design
mask in
work.
here.
Oh man,
I have
Brittany,
the mask.
go
It's
grab
really
it,
cute.
man.
I will go grab it.
So we have one of the designs is sort of the I call it the IDIC of all of the logos. It's the Star Trek, like the badge, but it's in every combination. You'll see it, and you can get it in like pants or like a mask. I love the mask, or socks. And there's also the thing that I really like. You got Ransom's Gym. Oh my god, they're like awesome for workout shirts that you can get it as a water bottle. And Eric's been showing us crazy new designs that are just everyone is better than the
There's
next.
one design that I'm like, I cannot wait for him to launch that I think is going to be big, but I'm not gonna spoil it because it's really awesome.
I think I know which one you're thinking about. I think we both were like, what? Oh, here it comes. Guys, this looks so good.
Hey there, all you guys, girls, gays, and theys. Check out our mask.
I wore that mask to go get my second vaccine shot, and
was it a hit?
It was a hit. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yep.
Got all the different pride flags for all the different peeps.
I love it.
And it's all on these cute little
I have people who don't listen to the pod and saw the picture of me with it after getting my shot, and they ordered it, and they don't even listen to the pod. So
amazing. You can get it as like a blanket. I think I'm going to get that one.
You can get the design on a bunch of different things. And this is my favorite design I think that we've done yet.
Yeah.
So inclusive.
Yep. So yeah, go ahead, take a look at our Patreon collective. We are still sitting at 21. Remember, if we get to 25, once we get to 25, it's not if, it's when we get to 25, that beautiful rendition of Faith of the Heart is coming. So
oh god,
looking at you guys. Let's make it happen.
I have mixed feelings.
Oh, and Fefenog, if you're stuck on the dress uniform code still, if you get a ticket to the New York premiere and we all go together and like do a big group and hang out, I will go on eBay and I will get that awesome First Contact white duty uniform.
Wait, what is this?
Fefenog wants the premieres to have a strict Starfleet dress code, like the Starfleet dress uniform dress code.
Wait,
That's cool.
someone in our oh, I thought you meant like the people from the Voyager doc.
No,
Hey,
no,
yeah.
no, no.
Hey, I'll cosplay anywhere. I don't
Dress to your DS9,
cares?
guys.
Yep.
Yeah, we're not like going to the Oscars here. Let's get as nerdy as possible.
Exactly.
And if you are going to the Oscars, get as nerdy as possible.
Still agreed.
Like life is short. Enjoy yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Hawk, we do have some awesome patrons to thank as always. And would you like to go ahead and give some thanks for us?
Absolutely. We'd like to thank our collective, Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Mag, and Bradley, the mother of lizard babies, Spotted Giraffe.
Yes.
Mitch Thatcher, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Wee, JD, Takaku Nagumo, Cara Kennedy, Patrick Hazard, Mark, Dana Pearson, and Fernando Nogales.
I feel like I just sat through my high school graduation again.
My God, mine had like 600 people in my class. That shit took forever.
Guys, I had 20.
I graduated with a class of like almost 1,000 people. So.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pensbury.
And I have a T last name.
Ooh, you were there a long time.
You fucking hydrate when you have a T last name. But anyway, I'm good.
Quick sidebar: did they do the same thing to you guys? They right before it started, they came down and talked to everybody. They're like, "Now, if you guys do anything crazy, this is like the South Side of Chicago, so it's not like a real nice school." They were like, "You will not get your diploma." Like and now I know like that was an empty threat, but they were like, if anybody does, I don't know what they were expecting us to do, but they were like, "You guys better sit there and be good." I don't know, but now
like
it's
they do
funny.
that during like the rehearsal.
No smoking any marijuana cigarettes.
Don't light up that Mary Jane.
That reminds me of the groundbreaking ceremony at my high school. We were going to a new high school and they were doing a groundbreaking ceremony, and they had this whole thing where the bishop came to bless the grounds.
Bishop?
I know. I was like, whoa.
I was like, the bitches came in.
The bitches came in. Man, it got crazy.
Anyways, while he's doing the blessing and that, all you can see on the hillside above him in that is 4 naked guys wearing ski masks and boots running past.
Sounds like Canada. Am I right? All right, guys, let's
I love that. That's just like, that's how life should always be.
Lexi goes, is this
we're taking this
Reaper?
so seriously? Yeah. Streakers.
I don't know if it's the lighting in here, but my shoulders look really good right now.
Dude,
it's like it's distracting me, and it's my own body.
You look buff, and I'm here for your Katie Sackhoff badass journey. Like, do we have hell yeah on your soundboard?
I'm just gonna say that Brittany is looking swole. That's all we need to say.
Yeah, I am.
But we gotta get hell yeah.
Katie Sackhoff journey. I want to be Katie knockoff.
I'm trying to think of like a good. Oh, you know what? This is if anybody likes Zombieland, this is actually pretty good for Brittany.
I love Zombieland.
Time to nut up or shut up.
Ooh, I like it.
There you
go.
I
tell myself every morning when I'm like, eat like Katie Sackhoff.
All right, before we take this pod even more out of subspace than it already is, let's get to the Strange New Loop. And this week, the Strange New Loop is, if you could be recast in any Star Trek role, who would it be for and why? And now I know what Brittany's going to say, so I
just thought of something else.
I added part 2. Think outside the box. Okay.
I just tried to think outside the box, and I don't like who just popped in my head.
And Twitch, YouTube, obviously, if you guys have answers, we'd love to read those live on air as well. Who's got one ready to go?
I want to hear Brittany.
Hawk, no, Hawk
Yeah,
spoke up
first.
All right, so outside the box, obviously, the one everybody thinks I would go for would be Captain Picard.
Jean-Luc.
Going outside the box, I think probably I would challenge myself and take on the role of Data.
Ooh, I'd like
Data. Yeah, Data is a challenging role for any actor to play in that. Because like the first thing anybody thinks is like go automaton, go robotic, and that. But at the same time, he had to emote and bring humanity to a character in that who had no emotions. So
yeah, it's a lot of day-to-day effort.
Yeah,
there she is. I'm not going to shame you yet. I'll give you a freebie.
It's early.
So that'll be my pick.
I like it, Hawk. I like it. All right, Brittany.
Tell us.
So you all know that if there wasn't the second sentence, I'd be like, Dax, in a heartbeat, or one of the 80,000 people like Saru, even though I have too much respect for Doug Jones, so I could never. But right now, when my brain was like, pick a Star Trek character that you probably wouldn't be normally, it went to Neelix. And I'm just like, that's why I couldn't even like not laugh. I had to cover my mouth because I was just like, fucking like, he is ridiculous. And I would make him so, I don't even know, annoying, punny. Like, I know people already find him annoying, but I would be like, I can't cook.
Rob says, kitchen rat.
I make like banana eggs.
There you
like,
go.
This is the one recipe I know.
Leola root banana eggs.
At you. She would just off at your banana.
So many puns.
I still want to say Neelix, he got better near the end when they gave him something to do when he was helping out with Naomi Wildman and became more of like a parental figure. Because he had something to do. But in the beginning, like his whole relationship with Cass, I think is problematic in many ways. And I dislike that intense jealousy. I think is a product of 20 years ago, like that. You know, that it, but I think it got better. But I love that, Brittany. I think that's such an interesting.
I immediately pictured myself with the Neelix hair, and that's why I lost it. I was like, oh, God.
Neelix season 7, I think, is peak Neelix, where he's not like a creeper anymore, I would say.
Yeah.
That's when he leaves, too, so.
He also does that storyline where he,
I just keep...
Gillian, you bitch!
Well, he leaves in like the second
Voyager
to last
Brittany,
episode.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. Like, it's fine, yeah, but he, like... Well, I don't want to spoil anything either, so I'm not going to say anything. Anyway.
Well, Aaron, before I let you go, I'm going to just go to Twitch real quick. Talik says that she would choose Guinan, which I think is a great choice and a fun choice. I love that. Fefenog really liked your pick. Hawk said Data is the best. Noe with a great one. I want to be Khan in Star Trek 2, so I can get that thick chest. And also, he's like my mirror universe self. I like it. Joe says Q because who doesn't want to fucking be Q?
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Right? I love it. Fefenog says Crusher, Dr. Crusher, crushing it.
I was like, Wesley?
Yeah, which Crusher? Well, yeah, because there was no doctor in front, so that could be Wesley. That's true. Or even Jack. He dead though. Lexi picked the Borg Queen. Hot damn.
Oh.
Good job.
That's a fun role.
Yeah.
Damn right.
And bringing it back to the Crushers, Jay says I would want to be Wesley Crusher post the first duty. So the stuff that
I love Wesley. I don't have any. I think he was a kid in Star Trek, and I think he did what he
was a kid in space. Damn it!
Yeah, man, that's hard.
Fefenog, real quick, just she confirmed Dr. Crusher, CMO.
Very nice.
I love it.
All right, Aaron, your pick.
Okay, I would be Hawk in First Contact.
Okay.
For a minute, my eyes lit up because I thought you meant literally Hawk. I was like, oh.
I did too.
I think that would be it. I thought he was. I think it's really hard to stand out with a cast that is already like super established and in a fucking motion picture. And I think in the time that he has, that character is always sort of stuck with me. Like he made an impression. And I was really sad when he died, actually, because I was like, oh, man, they could keep this guy around. I really like him.
Yeah. No, but he got assimilated and then shot off the ship. And he's just floating through space still.
In the past.
You give them something to hawk about, that's for sure.
Well, technically, he's not floating through space in the past because he's still floating through space. So he's floating through space in the present, too.
Oh, you're right. Unless they, like, sort of, did a little... I mean, I feel like at this point, with all the traffic going around... like our solar system, they had to have done like whatever the garbage can of ships is. Like,
right.
Do you think his body ever hit the sword of Kalis? Two objects in space are destined to meet eventually, just moving, unless they're going in the same direction.
Write that fan fiction, and we should do that as
it's gonna be in Lower Deck
table
season
read.
2. They're gonna be like they're gonna pass by in a ship, and it's gonna be like his body, and then like the sword of Kalis.
Brittany, email that to everyone in Lower Decks. That is the
because I have everybody's
idea.
gonna listen to me.
But wait a second. Is that the ultimate final form of Fruit Ninja?
Maybe.
I am here for this idea, you guys. Can someone who
I'll just respond to Mike McMahon when he likes my tweets.
Hawk in his outfit, partially borged, fucking sword of Kalis through him.
I got a couple of more Twitch submissions.
T-shirt.
K
my
less is
God.
Borg.
You have too many t-shirt ideas.
I'm writing this down.
Oh boy.
I have to send it to Eric.
And my relate says Cisco, but no way I could pull off the bald look and make it look good. It takes a lot of effort to pull off bald. It's just a true fact. So I agree. Rob says, I think maybe Odo, because I'm frequently grumpy.
Odo.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
that's fair. I don't think you're always grumpy, but I like the choice. And then Takako with a great choice here. Hoshi Sato. At the time when I saw casting notices for Enterprise, I just recently abandoned the idea of becoming a professional actor, as have we all, right there with you. I want my choice. Excuse me. I want my choice. Sorry, is it? Yeah, my chance at that role. Sorry, I want my chance at that role. I speak 4 languages and dabble in a couple others. That's another thing I have in common. Oh, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Takako, you're my Hoshi.
I love that.
Yeah. So, Brittany, it didn't happen to me live on air, but when I was thinking of the Stranger in the Loop earlier today, I had a very similar thing happen to me where I was like, who would I pick? And then the first thing that came to mind, I was like, oh no. And that pick was Quark. Man.
You could be Quark and I could be Neelix. You'd be little shifty bastards.
Little shifty fucking
t-shirt idea.
God. There's so many.
You know what, Aaron?
Can we put that
You're
on a
getting
shirt?
out of hand. You're getting out of hand.
Get off my bridge.
Nope, I'm writing it down. Little
I don't know. Quark,
bastard.
I chose Quark because 1, I think I could probably be a little Weasley with him, and play it well. But 2, like I just think it would be a fun character explore. The dude sees a lot of shit, and people talk to him. Like he is the station barkeep. He's the person.
The best bar none.
And he's a schemer, right. So he's already like talking to everybody. They don't even have to come to him. He goes to them.
Ooh, someone on our Discord. Spotted Giraffe isn't in our chat, but she saw it in the Discord and she says book. She would be book.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh my God! Wait, can I be the queen?
You could be the queen. Yeah.
You could be Grudge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what a role. Just be fucking amazing.
All right, folks. It is the Ship of Theseus, the Trek and Pop Culture Edition. Let's start with what we probably all know. I'm assuming I know, Aaron. I don't think you've seen Wrath of Khan.
I've seen that, but yeah, it's been a while.
This was probably, at least I think Hawk and I's probably first Trek experience with a recast, and that was Kirstie Alley. She was the original Saavik in the Wrath of Khan. It was also her first acting role, and then she played Saavik with a lot more like emotion than a Vulcan usually has. And there's a line actually cut out of Wrath of Khan where Saavik is actually half Romulan and half Vulcan, not half human and half Vulcan like Spock, but that was cut. So fans were always left wondering, well, why is she so emotional?
Because it would have raised some brows.
It would have.
Good one.
Giraffe did make it into the chat. So welcome, Giraffe.
Giraffe.
So Allie obviously didn't come back, and that's for the better because she's just one of the many scums of the universe these days.
And that colors my opinion of this, is that she sucks.
Yeah. You know what, though? I'll say this, even though I was going to say this later on. I think that she actually did the role better than Robin Curtis, but that's another story.
You can be good at something and still be a shitty
Oh, yeah,
human.
100%. So she didn't return.
We didn't do a birthday this week. What?
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
What? Okay, moving
You went there.
No birthdays for shitty people. Sorry.
For shatty people.
I liked it.
I'll mute myself now.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. So she didn't return for the Search of Spock, and Robin Curtis was cast to take over, and briefly showed up in the Voyage Home, the whale one, as well. So I feel like this is a really good place to start because, again, for a lot of Star Trek fans, this is probably your first big experience with recasting. And it begs the question: are Allie and Curtis's take on Saavik the same character? They may have had the same name, kind of played the same part, but they played it. It was like night and day, just completely differently. Saavik played it pretty much like full Vulcan. I mean, sorry, Curtis played it full Vulcan, where Allie did add that emotion to the role. What do you guys think?
I don't feel like I'm qualified enough to answer for this one. I haven't seen enough of it, but I do always feel like when I see people playing Vulcans and they're super emotional, I'm like, obviously that's part of the production's fault because they didn't give them enough information, and B, I'm just like, it takes me out of it. I'm like, I don't like an emotional Vulcan unless they're human, like then it makes sense.
I will say that I like Kirstie Alley's Saavik more than the latter Saavik.
The latter Saavik, yeah, that worked.
And I think I feel like it's because I watched the movies in that order. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or did I?
No, I think
No, I watched them out of order actually.
you have.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, I was like, wait, no. But yeah, I don't feel as strongly about Curtis's portrayal of Saavik. But I think that's also they just didn't give her as much. They took a lot out of it. And weren't they going to have that plot line in the most
Where she was
recent rewatch? Yeah, they're going to add that
yeah.
in. So I feel like they didn't give her as much to. They didn't add as much to the character with her. Whereas like Kirstie Alley was playing the character for the first time, and she had a lot more presence. And the way she played her, I liked more, even though she's not a good human, not a good ally.
Ooh, I like that.
I tried.
Too.
Ooh, that was bad.
No, I'm here for you this week. I'm liking it.
Oh, you guys are Happic, not Saavik? At my puns?
Hawk.
It's my courtesy to try my best. I'm robbing you of your chance to talk. Sorry,
okay, all right.
Shut up.
You open the door and she fucking kicks it wide open.
You Kirstied me.
I want to know what
Kirstied me out.
on.
We've been invaded by Borg puns. I still gotta give this to Kirstie Alley in that in the first movie. In that, even though she played it as a more emotional Vulcan in that, there's something about her in the eyes in that. And I think when you're casting an actor to play the Vulcans in that, you really have to you have to find somebody with the right eyes in that. They were big, expressive, but also they were kind of like a little dead looking in that, you know. It's almost like the eyes that could look through you. So I didn't get that same kind of feel with Robin Curtis, even though she made it like 2 films after in that. But you know, so for me, it was Kirstie Alley in the role of Saavik.
And Noe asked a question that we had already kind of discussed, but I'll answer it again. Saavik was written to be half Romulan, half Vulcan in Wrath of Khan, and the line was cut from the film. Whether that means that it's canon or not, leave that to the people that give a shit about a hardcore canon.
That's so
personal
weird.
opinion. I'll say that I would go the route that she is half Romulan. That's me. That's also because, again, like Hawk and Brittany, I prefer the Kirstie Alley version to Robin Curtis. I just didn't think that she didn't wow me. Robin Curtis didn't wow me. It's also 2 such important films in Trek lore that it's weird to go with such a major recast. Like, this is a great example of Ship of Theseus, right? Because they are 2 very different takes on the character, and it's almost like they're not the same character. Like, there's a great at the very beginning of Wrath of Khan when Saavik is doing the Kobayashi Maru and the ships are attacking, and she knows she's in a shitty position, and she just sits in the captain's chair. She's like, and she goes, damn, like she knows she's lost. And that's such an emotional response, right? And I was like, oh, cool. Like a Vulcan with an emotional response. Like, that's unique. Like, we haven't seen that before. And I really liked her in this. So yeah, I gotta go with Kirstie Alley as well. But are they the same character despite saying the same name? Are they the same person?
I think they're the same
they
character.
But they could have easily wrote the other one to be a different character.
Why was she recast?
I think Allie got big quick.
Getting too famous.
I think Allie got famous real quick.
I'm too big for the Star Trek shit.
Yeah. That happens a lot though, like especially in the 80s and 90s, where you're just like, why did this actor not follow up for like the next movie? And you're like, oh, because they got big.
Dude, having done all the background stuff for a couple of years, I mean, I don't do it anymore, but oh my god, I can't tell you how much, like, if they were filming Discovery down here, I'd fucking dust off that SAG card and be like, yes, because
Dallas multipass.
Yes, because like like, not to toot my own horn, but like there's a difference between people who do it and people who do it well and work all the time, and I worked all the time, like consistently on shit.
You could be SAGVIC.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And so then I had my list of shit that I wanted to be on, and it was like every time you ticked one of those boxes, like yes. But Star Trek was one that it was just never on when I was working. Like that was during the Dark Ages, and I'm like, oh, so
the
close.
post-Enterprise pre-JJ time period.
Yep. Yeah. So that's my white whale. So if they ever film another Trek thing here, I'm gonna dust that bitch off.
Apparently it didn't have anything to do with fame because Kirstie Alley apparently didn't even start on Cheers till 1987. NYR Light says Kirstie Alley blamed her agent. She said she wanted to be in Search for Spock, but her agent told her they wanted to cut her pay when they were actually offering the same salary as Star Trek 2. So that's a weird fucking move.
I thought like Look Who's Talking came out and then she was like, boom, bye bitches.
Bye. Yeah.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah.
That's such a weird movie, but we've all seen it.
Which one?
Look Who's Talking.
Oh, yeah.
The weird one with the baby. That's what I'm saying. We've all seen it. Probably on VHS.
Yeah.
Definitely on VHS.
I saw it in the theater.
Hawk is one better than the rest of us.
Hawk eating himself as always. I love it.
I wasn't alive yet.
I don't think I was alive. Wait, what
we
year?
were like,
I don't know.
I don't think I want to know.
I saw it on VHS, so who knows?
Let's move on to Next Generation because there wasn't really like a huge example of this in the movies after Allie or in Next Generation up until really Tasha Yar and Denise Crosby coming back as the Romulan Sela. And this was a big deal because we know all the controversy surrounding, Tasha, leaving or getting fired from set, and she comes back as a bad guy, a really awesome bad guy. Sela, if you don't know, if you haven't watched the episodes, I'm sure everybody has, is the daughter of the Yesterday's Enterprise version of Tasha Yar, who goes back on the Enterprise C. The story is that a bunch of the crew get captured and executed, but a Romulan general is very fascinated with Tasha, so makes a baby with her.
It's kind of a gross story.
It's rape. It's basically rape.
I thought it was Yesterday's Enterprise.
Oh boy.
And her sister, remember, was also on there, and it was her again. Like, I kind of like that. Like, if you realize that you had something good, and I think that there's something they could have just been like, no, she's dead to us. We fired. Like, having the ability to be like, okay, we cut this character probably too soon.
Yeah, like Sela wouldn't want to be you.
Yeah, but they found ways to keep bringing Tasha back, and I love that character. So,
and like, she's so good in Yesterday's Enterprise. Like, it's such a great.
Oh my god, I would watch a whole show of that. Like, just and not the scary rapey part that we didn't see, but like, I want to know what happened with that crew, because that was like, the set was cool, and who the guy who was like the second in command that she kind of was.
From Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, his name's Christopher McDonald is the actor.
But I fucking love Happy Gilmore.
Could have been its own show, man. So I love that. I think it's an interesting way. And like Brittany, what you were saying about if you keep rebuilding the boat from different pieces, because technically the Tasha Yar that this the daughter character isn't even original Tasha Yar. This is another
alternate Harry Kim, basically.
Yep.
Harry Kim is the only original member of the crew, maybe. We'll get there.
Maybe.
Harry Kim shenanigans.
They were split and they were still in the same reality. So even though one got destroyed, they weren't separate Kims, but they became separate once they were separate. It's very Stargate.
Fefenog brought up a great point that we talked about when we did our Nemesis deep dive, and that really wishing that Sela was in Nemesis. That would have made that film just like chef's kiss, right?
That would have been cool.
What if it was, what if that was Sela instead of Commander Denatra? That gives that movie so much more weight.
I would have liked that movie a little bit more.
Yeah. And then Rob came in clutch as always. That actor is Richard Castillo. So thank you, Rob, as always.
On it.
So, all right, guys. Moving on to DS9. I mean, there's Dax, right? Like, that's kind of like the weird situation because it's different actors and different hosts. Jadzia, Esri, and then there's also, Alexander becoming adult. I don't know if this really falls in to the Ship of Theseus.
Yeah, because it's not like recasts.
Yeah.
Like they become a different character and it's the symbiote thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
it's more of a heartbreak. That's what it is.
It is. But yeah, with the Trill in that, it's kind of it's not right to think of them as the same person in that. Those parts of them are still in there somewhere, but what you have is a completely different person, with their own kind of viewpoints, their own tastes, their own what have you.
Yeah, Esri didn't like Ractagino, man.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like a good Ractagino? God damn it.
But she did like Bashir.
I mean, somebody had to.
Oh, man. We're kind of going to move fast through these just because there's not a huge example on DS9. Well, I will bring up one more that we've talked about before, and that's obviously Thomas Riker. That that is someone
that was a cool
talked
one
about in TNG, but he's in DS9 and TNG. Is Thomas Riker Will Riker? I mean, are they the same person? They are, right? Like they are the same exact person.
Yep.
See, this was the one thing I wanted to bring up in that, when you're talking about the Ship of Theseus and Star Trek and that, you always have to bring the transporter into this,
Well, yeah, because Tuvix is a big example. That's like a combined Ship of Theseus. That's a whole nother can of worms.
I think I've mentioned before, there was this physicist, Michio Kaku, who talked about the transporter in Star Trek. And he said that it's not like what is being deconstructed and beamed up is you. He said, in practical terms, a transporter like that would basically destroy the person on the platform and then just recode them back up onto, their endpoint and that. So what you have is basically a completely different person who's exactly the same as you, but at the same time is not
the Prestige.
There's
right?
I fucking love that movie, by the way.
Yeah.
One of Chris Nolan's best films, and it is so almost like unknown and underrated.
That is a really good film. There's a book, a series of books by John Scalzi called Old Man's War that also tackles this idea in a slightly different way, where instead of like, traveling at warp speed, you skip to another part of space. But the theory in that world is that when you skip to everything's exactly the same, right? Like nothing's different, but what you're actually doing is you're skipping to like a universe that's just like a molecule different than the one you're already in. So to you, nothing's different. But once you skip, you're no longer in the universe you started with. And because it's like a military thing, technically like everyone at some point is from like millions of different universes. So are you and are they the people that if you saw them and then they left and then they came back?
I want to touch on what Hawk said a lot, because I hear this argument a lot, right? Like about the transporter and how it's not really the same person beaming up. I think like science fact, right? Like scientifically, that is probably the case. But I've always refused to believe that with Star Trek, because if that was the case, that's like some deep, dark shit.
Yeah, nobody would ever transport it.
No one would ever transport it. Like I'm losing myself. It's if we want to get really deep, dark into it, I forgot to put it on here, and we are absolutely going to talk about it now that I remember. It's like saying Jean-Luc Picard is the same fucking Jean-Luc Picard at the end of Picard season 1. Like I have so many issues with that. So we'll get there, but I just believe that they get beamed up, they get beamed down, same molecule, same everything, because it is the nicer, prettier picture.
Well, I think you're the sum. It's the same reason why the two Rikers are different. You're the sum of your experiences.
Right.
So even if it is true that like, you're taken apart and then either put back together or just like it's a copy, you're still you. Like and that's the whole thing of like, is the clone of you not you? I think as long as the memories are the same, both of those versions are real and exactly the same. One doesn't get to be better than the other. And so, transport me up and down. As long as I'm me, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's like when Beast Boy transforms and he unzips his DNA and rezips it up. It's all still DNA.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that he can like morph his molecules and everything into a different being entirely, but he doesn't lose himself, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Vision,
go ahead, Hawk.
Vision brought up this point in the WandaVision when he's talking about the Ship of Theseus and that what actually makes it the Ship of Theseus, and that is it just the design? Is once all the wood is replaced with new wood, is it still the ship, or is it that the memory of the wood? The captain who touched the gangplanks and that the water that lapped up against it, and that is that what makes up the ship, is the actual memories and experiences of it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's why it's philosophical, babies, because there is no right answer.
And Rob actually brought a good point up about the transport. I think every cell in your body is replaced about every 7 years or so. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I mean, something.
Good point. You're not even the real you.
That's a really good thing to bring up. Also, there's a lot of people that survive like PTSD and different things that have happened to them in their life. So when you remind them that every so many years, like your taste buds change, everything changes because every cell in your body has been replaced. That helps people know that like, okay, well, I've never been touched by that person now, and like this much time has passed. So like I've regenerated. I'm
That's
still
so
me.
interesting.
Yeah.
Like
I like that
yeah.
a lot.
I know people that have used that as like a reasoning, and I mean they're 100% right. You're still you, but you're a renewed you.
Yeah.
So hang in there.
Let's move on to Voyager, and we have a few examples here. The big one is it's weird because it's definitely not the same person, but Aaron, did you post the video? Who posted the video with yeah, you did.
Other Janeway.
I'm gonna butcher the last name, but I'll say the first name. Genevieve, is it Bujol or Bujol? Because she's French Canadian, so I don't want to butcher the last
Bujold.
Bujol.
Brittany? She who
First
knows
of all,
French?
Genevieve.
Sorry, Genevieve. My bad. And then she was cast as Janeway originally. There's a completely finished scene of her in the role, and then she literally just quit day and a half in, and for good reason. She was not good in the role. Rick Berman knew she wasn't good in the role. You could tell the other actors, dude.
She couldn't bejeweled her own.
You could tell by the way the actors were acting around her. Even that one scene, you're like, ooh, this is not going to work. She was not familiar with Star Trek at all. And then we know that Kate Mulgrew ends up taking the role, and the rest is history.
The rest is history.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
She Mulgrew into it.
It's shocking when you watch it because everybody else around her is filled with like this energy, and she is just so like her voice is sort of monotone. And I've heard she's a great stage actor, but I read a bunch of articles not too long ago actually about how when she was cast, because she didn't know a lot about it, she thought she was, and I think she'd been making movies where in a movie you'll shoot a scene all fucking day, right? And on Star Trek you get 1, 2, maybe 3 takes, and then it's boom, move on, because shit costs money and nobody's got time. And they say things like Star Trek is famous up until like the new stuff. You said every like of, is, I, and if you wanted to change it, they had to like call the writers because they weren't on set. And she did not fucking like that. She wanted to put her own taste on it. Yeah. And you know, not that I heard that Kate Mulgrew did, like, she was the star of the show. She had a lot more leeway, but I don't know. I just didn't feel anything from her. Like, she doesn't command presence. She looked like she did not want to be there.
I'm gonna say something pretty controversial here because I'm not one to be ageist or like that, but she just looked too old in the role. Like someone like who has this young cast surrounding her, and it didn't seem like she could command any authority. Like that's like the first thing that I got from watching that scene over and over and over.
Not that she's too old, but she just didn't carry it in a authoritative way, because I'd be actually curious what her age and Kate's age.
Picard,
Kate Mulgrew
Patrick Stewart's like a 10 times better actor, Rob.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah, can somebody look up, somebody in the chat look up the ages of Kate and, oh God, Brittany, tell me again.
She was 52. She was 52.
Genevieve.
Mulgrew was much younger. Bujol was 52. So.
And how old was Kate Mulgrew?
So 13 years older was Bujol. So 52, 42, 37 was Mulgrew.
Oh yeah, so big difference.
Yeah, big difference. So.
Well, I mean, we got the right captain. That's all that I have to say. So sometimes recasting is fucking good. Let's do it. And they found exactly the right person for it. Like, nobody could be Captain Janeway but Kate Mulgrew.
Everybody's saying that Picard was old. Yeah, Picard was old, but
of course he is.
But he's looked the same forever.
This older Shakespearean
he was
actor
old
anyway.
when he was 20.
Yeah, good point. And he's just like he has such a commanding presence. I'm not making this a sex thing. Like, obviously Kate Mulgrew killed it and like commanded that fucking bridge. I just didn't buy it from this actor.
Other actor. No one did. And I think that
Mulgrew is the same age as Marina Sirtis. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, like Kate immediately, like you're like, oh, she's the fucking captain. Whereas this woman, it's like you kind of almost forget that she's there. Like everyone else around her draws your attention, and she's just
when she was saying her lines in that scene, I was looking at Harry Kim.
Yeah. Oh, same thing. And Tom Paris, and then the original first officer.
#1. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was like, oh man, these guys, and like it was kind of exciting, but she's just was blah.
Yep. Aaron, tell us about the Harry Kim conundrum.
Okay, so I don't remember the episode, but the ship gets like sort of split in two, but they're not like
a temporal phase.
It was the first time that happened in the show too.
Yeah, and so it split the ship, but they were, they weren't different versions. But the moment that those people, sort of like Riker, the moment that you're doing your own thing, you become different, right? Like you're making different choices. And Harry Kim gets sucked out of like the ship gets fucked up and he gets sucked out and away. And that ship is like the ship that's doing much, much better, because the other ship, I remember they're being attacked. I think it's the Vidians or something, the ones who always needed all the medical shit.
The Vidians.
Deadlock.
Yeah. And this is also the one where Naomi Wildman is born, because on the ship where Harry dies, Naomi Wildman's baby doesn't make it, which is pretty dark. And then on the ship that's doing well, Naomi Wildman's baby is okay because they're not being attacked. And then at the end of the episode, things have really changed, where that ship that was doing okay, like now they get, everybody's dying on it. Like, I think we see Tom Paris getting like surgery done. They're like pulling out organs and stuff. And basically they switch positions where the bad ship was going to like blow themselves up and save the good ship. But the tables turn, and then the good ship sends Harry Kim and the baby to the crappy ship. And so those two end up moving on, and there's a whole idea when that ship was destroyed, that ship never really existed. And so at the end of the episode, Harry and Tom are walking along, and also no one really mourns Harry. Like, he dies and everybody just fucking moves on. But Harry's like, you're the captain, and everybody's the same, but this isn't my ship. And I think Janeway's like, I just fucking go with it. And I thought the strangest part of that was actually Samantha Wildman and Naomi Wildman, because Samantha Wildman lost her damn baby, like for a little while, and then got Naomi Wildman, which is her baby.
Yeah,
technically.
And I will say that is Harry Kim. Like, that is the same.
Harry Kim.
It's the same exact Harry Kim.
And their experiences were only like this much different. But technically, Harry Kim died. And also, I would have loved to have seen, it's too deep, I think, for Star Trek, especially that early on, because it happened pretty early. Like, Samantha Wildman dealing with the fact that, she lost a baby and then she got the same baby back, but it's not really the same baby, but it is.
Yeah, it was season 2, and it was the episode Deadlock, as confirmed by
that was a
chat.
Crazy episode.
It's really good, and it makes sense that it's like the only thing that didn't make the original crew whole was losing the child and also Harry Kim. So then they're like, well, since this other ship is doomed and we would make the same decision, both captains would do this, we're sending these guys over to complete years so nothing ever happened. But it's an interesting concept, because it does depend on, they're like, oh, we're the same crew existing in the same space and time, like it doubled.
Yep.
But then like, were they technically real people and we just watched them perish, or were they just, was it like one of those temporal illusions?
It was, yeah.
So
I think it's better not really knowing the answer, because I think a lot of times the answer is not as good as the question.
Oh, some people are saying this is the reason why Janeway never promoted Kim, because he wasn't the real Harry Kim. Yo, don't fucking do this to me.
Damn, that's ice cold.
Oh, man.
Tuvix would have gotten a promotion over him.
Oh my god.
Do we
we're not gonna talk about Tuvix.
Okay, thank you. I hate
because it's not a recast. There's no
I'm gonna go to Red Alert here real quick.
He's a transporter error.
I hate the episode and I hate the controversy. It's such a big controversy to me. Yeah, I know.
Well, I think it's an impossible situation.
Me. Yeah.
Like,
there was something on my screen.
It's an impossible situation, and no one comes out looking good. And not to say that doesn't happen in real life, bad situations, but I don't think anything
is just a philosophical concept. Like, that's why the episode is that way. It's supposed to be philosophical. There's not supposed to be a right or wrong answer.
I think it's too dark, though.
I think it's
too
basically
dark
a Ship
for
of
Voyager,
Theseus, but with a transporter accident.
Yeah.
So.
Too dark, I think. They just went too dark with it.
They made it too dark in this. Yeah, anyway, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Hawk, I wrote down here, nothing really note to Enterprise, but then I forgot who mentioned it in the chat. We have that really fucked up episode with the Trip clone, because Trip's gonna die.
Oh,
God, I don't even remember
that
honestly.
episode.
It's been so
Okay,
long.
yeah. So Trip was basically, he was gravely injured Phlox comes up with this idea and that about taking cells and that and cloning a fully grown Trip in order to harvest his organs.
This isn't like illegal or anything.
Oh no, it is.
Organ
But-
harvesting's always
So
illegal.
basically,
but-
Phlox being fucking.
This is the movie The Island.
I get goosebumps talking about Phlox. The
It's
dude
real
is
life
a
organ harvesting.
mad scientist.
Yes, he is.
Thank you, Lexi. Phlox is a madman. He even says like this was outlawed wherever I got this thing from originally. Like it's not legal.
But I still got it.
But Archer, being the fucked up guy that Archer is like, well, it's my best friend. Make the fucking clone. And then Trip, they make the clone, and like he grows up in like a week.
But
And
he's like aware and alive.
he's aware
He's
and alive.
aware and alive. He has all of Trip's memories and that. He's
And
like
it-
the same age as Trip when Trip gets mortally injured in that.
So when they're about to do it, he's fully grown and is like at the point where he even remembers like the night before with T'Pol because
Do they do it?
well, no, but T'Pol and Trip were like starting their relationship here, and the clone Trip is like, well, do you have feelings for me and blah blah blah. Like he remembers everything, and then Archer's like, we're gonna kill you and put your memories into the ritual. Like, so here's the conundrum with that, right? Like, this is Trip. This is the same Trip. Why not just keep this one alive instead of harvesting the organs for the one that's gonna die?
Either way,
Because they wanted
this
to
is
power the other
so-
Trip. It was a power trip.
That is like not even philosophical. That is morally fucked up.
Oh,
Like,
everything about Enterprise is
even if he
morally fucked
if
up.
he had like been brain dead when they grew him, totally different situation. But he's like walking around and they're like, we're gonna ice you.
Dude, he was helping. He was walking around helping and like fixing the ship.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
like, then what's the
That-
difference between killing him versus killing the other guy?
No,
the point.
they done wrong.
God damn
in that
it,
episode.
Enterprise.
They done a lot
So
wrong.
how did it
Why-
end?
I know the reason it was because they were going off to, they were going to find like what you call it. It was after Earth gets attacked by the
Zindi. They were in the
the
expansion.
Zindi weapon and that, and he needed Trip. And
Yeah, he had one. He just grew one.
Yes.
What
he
happened
grew
in
one.
the end? One of
He
them died
basic- he-
saving
he-
the ship,
they-
right?
No, he basically he was gonna leave.
Yep,
he
he
was
was
on
gonna-
he was on the shuttlecraft and everything and that, and then he thought to himself he can't do it. And he volunteers to undergo the
They
procedure.
do it.
They
Oh, they
ripped
do it.
his organs
Shut
out.
The fuck
And then
up.
you know what the worst part about it too is that they give him a funeral at the end as if he's Trip. Like they do a full, yeah.
They made whoa, we were going to watch this and I'm going to
They were
scream at it.
tripping.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a Drunk Space Nine episode.
That's I don't even know if that qualifies. That is so fucked up
Yeah,
and
Enterprise
wrong.
fucked up shit. And
I know,
Pfeffenau
but
brought up
damn,
It's like
good
a war
point.
that.
crime, yeah.
Pfeffenau brought up
Yeah.
a good point. Honestly, Archer did way worse shit than Janeway, and hard.
Oh
to-
yeah. No,
hard
I
to-
think Janeway like
I believe
did the
that.
best with like the crazy situation she was in. Archer was just a dick.
I just hate Archer. Period.
Yeah, everyone does.
Yeah.
I've only
Shit.
seen 2
I like his
episodes of that
dog.
show, and I was like,
Yeah, you weren't the biggest fan of Archer either.
I was
Dude,
like,
I've
does
never
he
made
get
it
nicer?
past like season 2. I've seen the Mirror Universe episodes and here and there, but like I always give up. I'm like, God, this is so stupid.
Yeah. Oh man. The less said about that episode, the better, because
That's insane.
It's been a long road.
Get
feeling all
from
tripped
there.
Sorry, Eric.
Sorry, Eric, we love you. That leads us kind of to the JJ films, and now obviously Disco and Strange New Worlds. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on these. If you want to, back when we first started the podcast, we did deep dives into Spock and Pike about their counterparts with I'm going to forget their names, Zachary Quino and obviously Ethan Peck, and then Bruce Greenwood and the original Pike and Anson Mount. So if you want to like check out our full deep dives into those characters, we can. Again, this is one of those situations where it's really recasting, and they are the same character, and they're just done proper justice. Everybody does a little bit of a different spin, right? Like you're not going to get like an act like Chris Pine isn't doing like a full on Shatner, but he's still respecting like the essence of Captain Kirk, right?
Yeah.
So. Joe says Chris Pine is my favorite example. I am so glad they picked him for Kirk. He is a good Kirk, and I still hope that we get to see him in a 4th film.
I think Anson Mount is my favorite. Well, you know, he's not Kirk, but he's my favorite captain so far in the new stuff.
with Pike, it's always hard to make a judgment call because we got basically one episode, to suss
Jeffrey
out this
Hunter,
character.
Yeah,
from Jeffrey Hunter and that. So it's like, in that case, it's almost like it's all a strange new world. It's just new territory for them to explore as far as the character. I love what Anson Mount did in season 2 of Discovery and that, and I think for me right now, he's the real Pike.
Jay is asking the controversial question that we talked about in our bonus pod, talking about Strange New Worlds and Kirk and whether he shows up, and we've talked about it in past episodes before. I have no idea who will cast as Lieutenant Kirk. I hope they do for 1 episode or a 2-episode arc. I don't need him the whole series.
If they do it at the very end, I'm fine with it, but I'd rather them wait for do it at the finale. Let a show be its own show.
I'm not going to take any guessing games right now, just because I want to see 2 or 3 seasons of Captain Pike. This is a Captain Pike show, and I want to see Kirk, and I'd love to see an episode of them two bouncing off each other, but let them get established, because we've had Captain Kirk. We've had him for 30, 40, 50 years, right? It's time, So, and to agree with Aaron, everybody knows how I feel about Handsome Anson. Oh, that man.
We love him.
That man. He does such justice to the little source material that there is of Captain Pike. And
he was great climbing Paramount Mountain.
He was. Obviously, Ethan Peck, Spike, we always call him Spike.
When he got on Buffy and he put on the vampire teeth and he was like Drusilla.
It only happens when you're using a possessive beforehand. You said Ethan Peck's, and then it continues into Pike, and then you say Spike, and then you're
you went wrong.
Yeah, so every time you point out when I do it, I'm like, it's because I said beforehand. It happens.
Yeah, I pointed out when I do it too. NYRLA and Joe both agree. Carl Urban as McCoy. I think a bunch
amazing.
Of that. Fefenog as well. I mean, Carl Urban is just wonderful.
I loved him in that first fucking scene, dude, when he's they have to throw him onto the ship. Sit down or I'll make you sit down.
Don't pander to me, kid.
And that, I feel like it could have been really cheesy when he's the wife took the whole damn planet, but I fucking love that. It was so good.
Yeah. Anything else that we want to touch on with Strange New Worlds coming up, or JJ, or do we want to move on?
I was just going to say that when it comes to recasting all those characters, I'm always going to be fine with it, because we get to actually finally we're going to see the newer crew in Strange New Worlds, and what we got to see of them in Discovery is great, and I've enjoyed it. I get when some people are hesitant when you recast certain figures, obviously when Spock was being recast for the JJ verse movies and everything, people are up in arms, they're there can only be one person, blah blah blah. But guess what, one day they're gonna remake Lord of the Rings. I'm gonna have to move on and accept new people as these characters. It's gonna happen. But I like that in Star Trek you get all the recasts, they never destroy the character, albeit we argued that Saavik she didn't need to be the second time around, stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, if you do a billion of them, there's a certain percentage that are going to be bad takes, but when you recast things, you're always going to get to explore more aspects of the character. So as long as the actor stays true to what the character is, they don't have to mimic somebody else's portrayal. So we see that with Spock. You have 3 different portrayals of Spock, but they're so true to the character that you love the portrayals. So as long as they do that, I don't care how many times they recast or redo whatever. For now, we have our Pike. 20 years from now, maybe we'll have a different Pike, or maybe it'll still be Anson. We're fine with that.
Rob brought up Bruce Greenwood's Pike. Yeah, much respect for him too. Got done dirty and Into Darkness, in my opinion.
I'll take the content I can get.
Yep. Hawk, did you have something, or?
Really?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's move on.
Cool. No, let's move on. I did just want to briefly say, obviously, Rebecca Romaine as number 1.
Oh my God.
Can't wait.
Yes.
Let's move on. This does
it remains to be seen.
Talking about JJ's JJ's reboots, and then what we're seeing in Strange New Worlds. It begs the question, and it's a hot topic right now because of something I think Brent Spiner said in an interview recently. At some point, the Next Generation cast is probably going to get a reboot of some kind, recast. This leads us into our subspace poll, and the question is: do you think that the TNG crew can be successfully recast in a project for film or television with the success of the Kelvinverse? This was kind of neck and neck. 38% said yes, it could work. The no's got the vote though, with 48% saying no, and then only 14% said if it was film that it could work, and no one
noticed that.
No one voted for any kind of TNG television reboot.
I feel like when people read this, some people probably read it a certain way where they didn't read can be successfully recast, because like things can usually be successfully recast, and I feel like a lot of people read this and was like, should they be recast? And they were just like, no, and immediately slapped it. And you worded it so well, but so many people I know started reading it and were probably just like, recast, no, don't touch my favorite characters. But I'm like, anything could be.
Right.
I think they need to wait longer. Like, it's too soon.
It is.
I think the time between when original Trek happened and then like the JJ films, that's a good amount of time to do that. I don't want to see TNG for like 20 years. Like, let's do it in 20 years.
Until like half the actors are dead, and then you're like, okay,
honestly,
well, yeah, they couldn't bring them back.
Honestly, yes, because then and think of where film and TV will be then. Like, they're probably gonna be beaming into our fucking brains, and we'll be like participating. Like, let's do that.
I hope not.
I'm here for it, man. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I want a holodeck. Yeah.
Plus, we still have some of the characters in Picard, so it's like we are seeing them. So that's why right now people are probably more hesitant to be like, why recast when we're still seeing the characters actively?
And they even recast people in Picard. They recast fucking what's his face?
Bruce Maddox.
Thank you, Bruce Maddox, douchebag. That guy.
You Maddox?
Is he the one who played Ichab?
No, Bruce Maddox.
Bruce Maddox
was the doctor with the data who wanted to.
I see. Yeah, because they recast Ichab too.
Measure of a man.
He's not cool either.
Yeah.
Recast the jerks. I'm good for it.
Yeah. Hawk, what do you think? You think it should be done? Can be done?
It's weird because it is very close to us in that, but then again, like, when you take a step back and you think about it, it's like it's been 34 years since it first debuted on television.
So long.
Years.
You know?
Julie and I were babies.
All three of us do it.
And that and it's very much attached to us in that, because it's like, for you, Julian and I, we watched it when we were kids and that, and growing up and that, and so that's them. It's like they've imprinted themselves on our DNA, and that doesn't mean they can't successfully recast and for a movie or anything like that. It's just that our generation's probably always going to have a problem with it in that, because that's who we Captain Picard is Patrick Stewart.
That's the one that I have the hardest time with, right? Like, who does that better? And I think you always go to that easy answer of, well, maybe a James McAvoy because he already did it as Professor Xavier.
But it's too late.
Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's too late for James McAvoy to pull off Picard.
I just feel like it's way too soon.
Not age-wise, but I just think like, not right now.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'll be ready to see this when I'm older.
When you're 80.
Yeah. You guys remember Star Trek?
Ready for the next generation?
I remember when this was on.
Because to me, it just feels like, I know it's been 25 or however long years. It feels like it was yesterday. Like, and it's still because they rezzed it up, and I know some of it doesn't hold up.
You gotta wait for it to be dated.
There, exactly, but it doesn't feel old enough yet.
No.
Yeah.
No, it probably never will feel old enough to us, and that even if they do it in 10 years and that.
Why?
No, it's too soon.
Yeah, Hawk. Why is it that I feel like it's easier to recast TOS? Like, why is TNG? Is it because that we watch it as kids? Like, is it because TNG is like, and I would say DS9 too, is so kind of almost like sacred to us. Like, we're at that age now. We're like, don't get off my lawn. Don't fuck with my original cast.
Exactly. It's like I said, we watched it when we were kids. We grew up on these stories. We had 7 seasons with these characters and that, so we had these full round arcs with them, and I think the people who grew up with the original Star Trek and that have probably had the same way in that, because they only had 3 seasons of that show, and yet they kept it alive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be like if somebody right now told me like, we're gonna reboot Fringe or we're gonna reboot Battlestar Galactica. Like, it's not been.
They are gonna reboot Battlestar Galactica.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like, I would just be like, but like it's not that long ago that it happened, and it was like we had this whole run, and I relate these characters to these people now.
Yeah, it's that especially with Star Trek, with how I feel about TNG and Voyager. To me, those people, like they almost feel real because like you said, we grew up with them. Like those people were in my lives weekly, always, and sort of always have been now that we have streaming. And to me, like it's funny when we see the actors because I'm like, in my mind, they're still there. They're still out there fucking cruising around. And I don't know. It would be hard to see them. I think I could do it like I said, many years from now, but right now they're just like, they're still there.
Yeah. We don't do this too often on the show because we are a Star Trek podcast and we have other podcasts that we talk about other nerdy things about. But I think it's worth mentioning. Are there any other examples of kind of this, whole philosophical Ship of Theseus conversation in pop culture and television, film that you guys want to mention before we move on to mailbag?
I feel like there's a bunch of them, and usually I think when they are done, it's either adapting something from like animated to live action, or if it is like rebooting an older show, like we were all talking about right before this, like Katie Sackhoff as Kara Thrace, like as Starbuck. That's the better version. Like even people that watch the older show were just like, okay, but like she's so awesome in this newer one.
Like even Dirk Benedict, who played Starbuck with the original, was like, yeah, she's 10 times better.
Like recast literally the same character, but just female. Like it still counts. You're just like Ship of Theseus, but yeah. So I don't know. Very rarely is something recast. Does it reach the point of it being recast that it's like not good? But when it is, I feel like it's when the adaptation doesn't translate well, if that makes any sense. Like,
I think
Avatar: Last Airbender going to a live action film. No,
real quick before you guys go. Sorry, Brittany brought up a good point about it working well, and that kind of brings me to something Takako said. She mentioned Superman, and that's a great point because we've now had multiple iterations, right? We've had the original, right? Christopher, if you don't count like the old black and white serialized things, right, which were
most superhero things before the newest wave of Marvel and DC.
Christopher Reeves was the bar, and you can almost say at that point, excuse me, Michael Keaton was the Batman bar, but then you get Christopher Routh, who was Brandon Routh, who was kind of done dirty with I'm kind of a sympathizer with the film, but done dirty with like a not great film. And then Henry Cavill, who is also, like I'm a Man of Steel sympathizer, but I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like Man of Steel. Yeah, I mean, Batman versus Superman is garbage, and now the next best thing, it just came out because he's wonderful in the Snyder Cut. So these are great examples. Someone brought up Spider-Man again, iterations. Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland. So.
Yep. I have a good one that's one of the oldest versions of, like the oldest recastings is in Bewitched when they recast Darren, the husband, and it was played by Dick York, and then they recast him as a guy who looks similar, and his name was Dick something. I thought it was funny that they had the same name, but that was way back in the day. And apparently when they did that, because media was like newspapers and shit, no one really noticed. He was just a little different.
Okay, one thing I'm thinking back from from my TV watching days back in the past, when they recast Leslie Granson with Sarah Chalke in Roseanne.
Oh yeah, who later was on Scrubs. Yeah,
exactly.
That was and then like the original actor came back for like a minute, and then they were like, no, we hate you, and then they brought back Sarah.
I feel like sitcoms it's happened like more with where you'll just have like, oh, that character dies off, and then they're like brought in with somebody else to be the same person.
They were like, get us a Canadian.
It's like it's a hot topic for a minute, and then you're just like, okay, and then you just end up kind of rolling along.
Yeah, they get over it, and then you forget there was ever another actor. It's the same dude. There's long running cartoons and things like that where they started the first season or first 2 seasons with a different voice actor, and then you get the person who's more well known later on.
Yeah, Rob brought up Ed Norton and Mark Ruffalo. I mean, that's actually Eric Bana to Ed Norton to Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, another example.
Quicksilver.
Yep, just happened in WandaVision and X-Men and Avengers.
It's also hard because like the recasts are sometimes just separate films entirely. Like it'd be one thing if like from one movie to the sequel, like that's literally recasting that person versus just hiring a new person for a separate film.
Yeah. Any other examples before we move on to the mailbag?
I think people get it by now. They can have these discussions at home. They'll be like, oh, do you know about the Ship of Theseus? I listen to podcasts.
Tweet at us.
Yeah.
in
Tag
their
us in your
best
favorite
Paul
ships of Theseus.
Bettany impression voice, please and thank you.
Float around, poke your friend in the head.
Are you aware of the Ship of Theseus? Sorry, had to.
Yes.
All right, guys, it is time to dive into the mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
And who wants to take our first mailbag from Fefnog?
Fefnog, I'll take it.
Hit it.
Fefnog wrote, I really like Carl Urban's Bones, especially in 2009. I think he did some seance?
I think,
yeah, he did some seance to channel. I thought it was like scene for a second. To channel DeForest Kelly here. Ethan Peck, Spock, and Anson Mount's Pike also score high on my list. I'm also very curious on how Rebecca Romaine will play number 1, but since both she and Majel had so little to play with from the beginning, I almost tend to not consider this a recast. She also wanted to mention that Kara Starbuck Thrace is a badass.
She is.
I
She's
agree.
amazing.
Oh, talk about a doing a character like it's not really a recast, but changing something about the character, and everybody was like, "This is gonna be the worst shit ever," and now it's like that is fucking Starbuck. Kara
That's canon.
Thrace.
I get
Yes.
goosebumps just talking about it.
Basement nerds were like, no, don't do this.
Is named
And now
Kara
they're-
Starbuck Thrace.
Amazing.
Yes.
Well, it was like the movie, the miniseries had been on for about 5 minutes, and they're playing fucking Triad, and which oh man, I usually have my cards right here. Damn it, I have Triad cards. And then he's like, full colors, and boom, punch, and it was like, Kara Thrace, we love her. Okay.
Flipping the
Still
table.
had the
from Colonel
still had the
Ty in
smoking and drinking problem, so
Mhm.
Yeah.
legit.
Yep. Who wants Talix's?
I'll do it.
Hit it, Aaron.
All right, Talix wrote, Carl Urban killed it as Bones. He was obviously paying homage to DeForest Kelly without going too over the top and becoming a caricature. I also think that Anton Yelton, I always say his name wrong, R.I.P., as Chekhov was a brilliant choice because the young authenticity of Yelton brought to the character, like Walter Koenig, his parents are Russian immigrants, and the added emotional impact of him looking so young. My God, that was most heartbreaking thing on the planet because he was so good.
Yeah, he really was. That still gets me in the way they kind of memorialized him at the end of Beyond. I have to repeat. I think like one of the best Bones lines from 2009, where it's like the space is disease wrapped in darkness and silence, and he's just like he's like a space hypochondriac, which is like so funny for a doctor, right? I love it.
Totally.
Who wants Alex's Hawk? You want
I
to take
love
this
that,
one?
Brittany.
Sorry, it won't let me add the background I wanted, so it's just gonna keep being Shannon Woodward. Zoom is being a jerk today.
That's right. Horman Alex wrote, Not sure if it counts as recasting, but I'm squarely in the Esri Dax fan club. Ooh. Anson Mount and Bruce Greenwood are both great Pikes. Chris Pine as Kirk too. Outside of Trek, Doctor Who surely needs a mention, as does James McAvoy as young Professor X and the other young X-Men.
I mean, what's his name? Why am I going to forget his name? He's such a great Michael Fassbender.
Oh yeah,
as Magneto
Insane.
is just
So good.
so damn good, like so good.
First Class, I still love. It was one of the best
Perfect
X-Men
movie.
movies
I
ever
still
made.
can't believe
Yeah.
he's married to Alicia Vikander. Like, what a legend.
Lexby goes, by the way, Brittany, I am not complaining about Shannon Woodward. So
Honestly, I have her up here for mad respect. She didn't win a BAFTA, but she's got a BAFTA in my heart. So
no.
Aw.
I feel like Doctor Who doesn't really fall into this category in that because it's written into the character in that about the whole thing with regeneration.
Yeah, that's a. Well, I think the example we brought up earlier, right, about how he wore the same face as someone in a previous season is an interesting way to bring it up. But as it being written in, I kind of agree with your point. Yeah. I guess I will take the last one. I believe it's the last one, right? Yep. Jay wrote, I spent a good amount of time thinking about all the recasting, but really as much as there is recasting and all points made up with mentioning of X-Men and Doctor Who, I almost have a theory that should be explored of a reverse Ship of Theseus and all the times that a single actor played multiple roles, sometimes in the same episode. I'm looking more towards Jeffrey Combs and Brent Spiner, but before I get warped out of the airlock by Cisco, let me explain. I saw a YouTube video either Tuesday night or early Wednesday, which said that Tony Todd had actually recorded all the lines for villains in the Doctor Strange movie, but the energy to be the villain against Strange just wasn't there. So they decided that it would be Benedict Cumberbatch himself to play the role of Dormammu, who is what made me think of the reversal theory. Very
didn't even know that.
Wait, Benedict Cumberbatch does the voice of Dormammu?
He does, and he does the
I
mocap
did not
too.
know that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go look at that shit.
I like the
didn't know they were
concept of
going with Tony
exploring
Todd.
like people that play multiple roles like in a like the same show or thing, but I don't think it's a reversal of the Ship of Theseus because like that doesn't make any sense. Just like as a premise, like a thought. So it would have to be called something else. That's all I'll say. Is like it doesn't match because it's not the same character.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's probably a different name for that. But yeah, I love when people play multiple roles in the same show or movie because I think that's just awesome.
Taking it back to like Austin Powers.
Yeah, it happens a lot in comedy, but I love because you see people's range so much, or they come back to the series later on and like they were a background person and then become a regular. Oh, it's so cool.
And what Raleigh wanted me to ask quickly, are we going to get into the whole James Bond 007 is just a code name theory? Because I place no stock in it. I agree. I don't place stock in it either. I don't know.
I also, unpopular opinion, don't really like James Bond. I think it's kind of the same thing over and over again. But also that's why people like it.
It's gotten better though.
Yeah, it's still kind of
gotten
all boys.
Less sexist. It's gotten less sexist.
It is less sexist, but it is still sexist.
Give me a female Bond, give me a black Bond. I don't care. Just keep bringing.
They were about to give us a black female Bond.
Mm.
Lashana
I
Lynch,
like
not Bond, but 007 moniker.
Yeah. I like the Mission Impossible movies better. I think they're more fun.
We're gonna have some words, though. I do.
Not all of them.
They're fun. I like them.
There are a couple shit ones in there, but I
just love watching and being like, Tom Cruise really just decided to jump out of a fucking plane.
That's half the fun because it's so dumb.
Sometimes I'm just like, you shouldn't do these stunts.
Tom Cruise is a fucking weirdo in real life,
He's
and
just
but I have mad respect for all the stunts that he does. Like, do you know
he's like Jackie Chan. He's like uninsurable.
You know the Mission Impossible 2, the knife to the eye scene?
Yeah.
Real knife.
Well, anytime he's underwater, he literally trains to hold his breath, and he dove out of the plane, which in the newer one, they made it look less cool by adding that stupid lightning storm, but he really did that entire drop.
Yeah.
And the thing where he was on the building in Dubai.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a banana.
I hate that scene.
I mean, life goals, though, but at the same time, there's professional stunt actors for a reason. Like, let them get paid to do.
I don't know. So,
he's going to be one of those people that dies making a movie.
He almost died making the newest one. Apparently, they had to halt production because he hurt himself on one of the stunts. So there you go.
He's
Mission
Impossible,
old,
man.
Time to Cruise.
There, yeah.
Like
Mission
Speed
Impossible
2.
in a wheelchair.
Mission Impossible, literally, because they can't make the movies anymore.
Ghost Protocol, R.I.P. We're at his grave.
That's the movie. It opens. Everybody who's ever been in the movie standing around the grave. Amen. Movie over.
I think we all said it in the chat at one point or another before we recorded this episode tonight. This was going to be a fun one. It absolutely was. What a great subject. Thank you, Noe, again. And congratulations for your subject winning. As always, we'll have our poll later in the month for our April Patron Collective episode. Please, 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 if you put an episode in to be talked about and it didn't win one month, that doesn't mean it won't win the next month. Keep putting your ideas in there. We are not Drunk Space Dining tomorrow, Rob. We are gonna move it up
next
1 week to April. So first week of April, we're doing Drunk Space Nine. So
and check our Discord if you want to make the drinks. We put the ingredients in there, and we'll get those over the next week. The drink will come out and everything, but this one requires some special ingredients. So
there you go. That does it for our episode this week, and with our next episode being on April Fools. I promise we won't do April Fools. I don't think any of us like
I hate that shit.
April Fools shit, so don't worry. That means it's part 2. We already mentioned this of our Kelvinverse deep dive. So we'll also be doing a giveaway Blu-ray combo pack of Star Trek Into Darkness. Don't know if people really want to own that movies, but it's a really cool combo pack. So it's like 3D, so I would buy it.
If you're a fan of the Conberbatch,
there you go. Stay tuned for that. So we'll see everyone on Discord for Best of Trek Thursdays right after we conclude here. We'll say live long and prosper. Majram. Have a good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.